tiebreaker. So Mikhail DAUHALIAVETS up against the great Julio Cesar La Cruz. This is a huge moment for DAUHALIAVETS, who's the only non-Azeri in the Azeri team. He's a Belarusian, Mikhail DAUHALIAVETS, light heavyweight, but in Julio Cesar de la Cruz, 2 times world champion, he's going to be up against it. The likelihood is this next bout will go in favor of the Cubans, and we will have a tie-break. So whatever you're doing later on this evening, put it back by half an hour, I think, because we may well have 2 more bouts to go. Out he bounces, Julio Cesar de la Cruz. 25 years old, won the 2011 championships right here in Baku. Defended his title in Almaty 2 years later.
Julio Cesar La Cruz, Cuba, Domadores. Kırmızı küncü davet olunur. Please welcome to the ring, red corner from Azerbaijan.
He has lost 1 bout though.
Mikhail,
he's 4-1. De la Cruz. And that was to Nikita Ivanov, who won in Russia in the first of the semi-finals. Now, Mikhail DAUHALIAVETS, the Belarusian, 33 years old. Doesn't look so good on paper. He's 0-2. You can see 4-1 season wins for De la Cruz.
5. görüştü. Tekçe boksçumuzdan değil, sizden de çok şey asladı. Ona göre bu görüşte ayaküstü olan 1. raundu elan edirik.
These men fighting at the light heavyweight, sub 81 kilos. DAUHALIAVETS, 24 years old, 0 wins in the season, 2 losses, ranked 33rd. This is actually the biggest difference in terms of ranking of all of the 10 bouts. So a massive difference, 33 places in the WSB. Mariusz Gorny, a Polish referee, overseeing this one. On paper, DAUHALIAVETS doesn't really have much of a chance here, Will, but we've seen the Azeris have picked their team brilliantly so far. I'm sure the coach has a reason to go to DAUHALIAVETS. Well, one reason is he's tough, he's fearless, and maybe that's what you need in the 10th and final bout.
Colin, this is the charge of the light brigade. DAUHALIAVETS is really up against it here, but I've called DAUHALIAVETS the wild card in every bout that he's appeared in this WSB season. He's got a really unusual style, he's tough, and he's got a puncher's chance here. This kid has got nothing to lose. He's up against La Cruz. I mean, you know, he's fighting a legend. He's 33rd ranked in the WSB. He's lost his 2 outings. They were against tricky customers as well. The bout against Dmitry Bivol was tough, and the fight against Roger Sepp was tough. They're both experienced WSB boxers. He's a former Olympian, DAUHALIAVETS. He's got no lack of heart, and I tell you, this could be the upset of the night. But, you know, he's a banker, La Cruz. On paper, he's going to do this. It seems a foregone conclusion, but is DAUHALIAVETS a Cinderella in the making?
It wouldn't be quite something if it fell to a Belarusian after all these bouts throughout the entire WSB season to pull it off for the Azeris to win their first ever WSB finals. But look at the way Julio Cesar de la Cruz marches around this ring. Getting jeered by the crowd here. This nonchalant glance over at his opponent.
Just look at the work rate of DAUHALIAVETS, though. This is a man on a mission. He wants to engage. La Cruz wants to make him look lumpen, wants to make him look slow, wants to make him miss, but DAUHALIAVETS just want to hit the man. Interesting, because DAUHALIAVETS is the southpaw here, La Cruz the orthodox fighter. You don't often see that against Cubans. Got tagged there, DAUHALIAVETS. And he's gonna be in the hurt locker for most of the next 5 rounds, DAUHALIAVETS. But I think he's used to being there. But whilst this is very much CRUZ's office, well, DAUHALIAVETS might just cause the upset and have a little bit of burglary going on.
CRUZ was one of the most exciting fighters in Almaty at the World Championships. Well, when we were commentating there ringside, he just hands down, not by his hips, almost by his knees, flicks up these jabs, gives his opponents showboating glances at times, which really does rile them up. But he's so quick, he seems to evade punches brilliantly, and then Cobra S just pops up and gets back at you. Brilliant fighter to watch.
This is the perfect example of the Cuban style. I mean, CRUZ is the governor, but DAUHALIAVETS, well, he's a puncher, he's a fighter, he keeps coming, he's not been stopped in the WSB, and he wants to engage, and when you've got something to work for and you want it that bad, well, you can cause an upset. And I know I'm shining a sort of positive light on DAUHALIAVETS, and CRUZ quite clearly in control here. It's a masterclass from the Cuban. But look at DAUHALIAVETS, he's unperturbed by any of it. And I think in this fight, I'm a bit of an underdog pusher here.
Yeah, I mean, you have to appreciate the style of fighting from the Belarusian here. He's lost that one clearly, and a 10-9's a fair reflection for CRUZ winning that one. He just seems to have extraordinary instincts and reaction speed to go out to the final fight of the entire season, with everything resting on it, with the Cubans behind 5-4, to have your guard down by your knees. It shows extraordinary confidence in your ability, but that's what the Cuban's doing at the moment, and it's worked in round number 1.
Well, it's almost an inverted pyramid of hope that's resting on the shoulders of Mikhail DAUHALIAVETS. But as I say, the kid's got nothing to lose, and he's bringing it. And Cesar, well, he's going to give a masterclass here, there's no doubt about it. But it's going to get medieval in there if DAUHALIAVETS has got anything to do with it.
He's got enough respect out of CRUZ that he started to bring his guard up by his head. Suddenly CRUZ isn't feeling quite so cocky as he was in the first round.
CRUZ is evading it all and looking good and looking slick and dancing away. But DAUHALIAVETS, I mean, I don't know, dare I make the comparison? I mean, this is almost like an Ali Frazier contest. I mean, DAUHALIAVETS is like Smoking Joe. I mean, he's marching towards his man and game every time. DAUHALIAVETS has the ability, you see, to put his ego aside. He's being made to look clumsy. He's being made to look like he's missing. And that's what CRUZ wants to do, to try and work on DAUHALIAVETS' confidence. But DAUHALIAVETS doesn't care.
No, and he's extraordinarily fit as well. He'll be doing this for all 5 rounds. We've seen that in the past. He does not give up on the pressure. There's a little nod there. Swings and misses by a country mile and gives CRUZ a respectful nod. And again, missing by 30, 40 centimetres and more.
DAUHALIAVETS in the past has started to gas around about the 3rd round because he puts huge effort in, and that may be the balancer in this, in terms of he won't be able to keep this up across the 5. However, he's making CRUZ miss as well. And CRUZ has got the face, a bit of an angry face on, which is the kind of face you'd have when you try and swat a fly away that's annoying you when you're having a lunch somewhere. And that's how CRUZ views DAUHALIAVETS. But DAUHALIAVETS, well, if he takes home a win, guess what I did today, guys? But look, bounces back in. And CRUZ punishes him. And again. CRUZ calling DAUHALIAVETS in to take more punishment. I mean, it's the hurt lockup for the whole 5 rounds, but DAUHALIAVETS keeps coming.
His punches are just coming from different, more bizarre angles to DAUHALIAVETS as he comes charging in. CRUZ, just a master of feigning one way and bringing in a punch from another. And theatre like he marches off as the pantomime baddie here in the Azeri pantomime. This theatre that is the WSB finals. Well, DAUHALIAVETS once again, great work rate, but De La Cruz really did dominate that round.
Big night out for I'm surprised that DAUHALIAVETS is getting 9 and it's not a more dominant round in favour of La Cruz.
It could be, and you know what, it may well be within a round or two. I think you have to say that DAUHALIAVETS, purely for work rate, was extraordinary there, brilliant, but yeah, so many clean blows from De La Cruz. Look at, he's out dancing away. What a great fighter he is to watch.
You know, there's an old expression in this game, and that is you only need one, and if it's a good one, job done. Well, DAUHALIAVETS, from my lips to his ears. I'm still very wary of DAUHALIAVETS, and there is something unnerving in a boxing match when you punish a fighter, when you've hit them with some great shots that you've got, and lo and behold, the bell rings, and that man is right in front of you again, and that's what DAUHALIAVETS is doing. He's right there in the face of La Cruz. And it's La Cruz that's holding.
Still has time to style it out in round 3, despite all the pressure. All the thousands, tens of thousands of hours of... Oh, goodness! Well, well, well. He was hit at the same time as falling over there, but I think it was just a stumble, and yet a nice sportsman-like nod from DAUHALIAVETS, who doesn't try to make too big a deal of it. The crowd booing a little bit. They were hoping for some kind of standing 8 count there, but it did not merit it.
Well, when you look at the stars that we've seen fight, and when you look at this on paper, this could well turn out to be the most exciting bout yet. And as I said, I've marked DAUHALIAVETS' card. I call him the wild card. He comes out every time. He does what's asked of him. He doesn't always get the result, but he's never been stopped. And just look at this. I mean, to come out of your dressing room knowing that you're going to face the Julio Cesar La Cruz, you know, and you're the last fighter for the team, just unbelievable. And actually, La Cruz has beaten Prove Sepp, who's beaten DAUHALIAVETS, so you're up against a man that you know.
He's just boxing at shadows here. DAUHALIAVETS swings at one De La Cruz, and before you know it, he's round to the side of him, missing wildly. Incredible movement by the Cuban.
It's an absolute masterclass, but he did this in Almaty when we saw him take the gold medal there, Colin. I mean, this is what he does. He was the most exciting fighter to watch, and this really is the epitome of the samba. This Cuban is really taking it to another level. He really does take boxing to another level. On his toes, always moving. Just look at the fluidity in his work. Drops his left shoulder down, brings DAUHALIAVETS in, makes him miss, just leans out, turns on a sixpence there.
Well, the man he beat in that World Championship final in Almaty actually was the Kazakh Naya Zimbatov, who, a little bit like DAUHALIAVETS, came charging forward, incredible work rate, and La Cruz ducking and diving. Just like he did in Almaty, he would stare at the crowd and walk away in style at the end of the round, saying, yeah, I bossed that one. Just adding that brilliant touch of theatre to what is a world-class sporting event. Well, that's the stumble. Indeed, they were swinging punches, DAUHALIAVETS, but he wasn't actually hitting with any of them. That was not a knockdown in any way, shape or form. So 27-30 across the board after round 3, 2 rounds to go, and La Cruz is, well, starting to cruise towards a victory to make this 5 apiece and bring on the tiebreaker.
Well, I dubbed Mikhail DAUHALIAVETS the wild card, but he could well be the Duracell kid, because if he can put in the performance over in the last 2 rounds that he has done over the last 3, well, it's just an absolutely relentless display of heart and courage. Just a great effort. There's an old expression in sport, isn't there, that winning isn't everything, but wanting to win is. And if ever there was a great example of that, it's Mikhail DAUHALIAVETS. Just look at him bring it, and I mean, it could still cause an upset here.
Up to the rafters. That was a good hit that De La Cruz took. Hasn't phased him at all, though.
Main success with that. Comes in behind the right, puts the left in. The champion to ease off the gas a bit, doesn't want to engage that much. DAUHALIAVETS just a little bit more conservative with his work, as you'd expect going into 4. He's had 3 rounds where he's almost run a mini marathon chasing the champion.
It is the colossal adrenaline rush of the first few rounds starting just to wear away for DAUHALIAVETS. Really start to tire now. He's definitely worked harder of the 2. 1 minute to go in round 4. 2 points down on each of the judges' scorecards. He doesn't just need to win the next 2 rounds, he needs to really bring something special here.
CRUZ, always a delight, always a joy to see. Considering this fight is so one-sided, it's incredible how exciting it is. It could well turn out to be my favourite bout of the evening.
Brings that left hand up from the hip, so it just drops the guard and then comes over the top with the right, as he does again there. So successfully, La Cruz. It's so quick, that combination.
Hits off with both hands. CRUZ just...
He's such a reactionary boxer, isn't he? He doesn't come out with any game plan. Just at a split second, he sees an opening, he goes for it. Amazing, La Cruz. Just how fast he is, and I'm sad to say there's just one more round of watching this man. He's just magnificent. Well, these 2, as it does take 2 to bring about a great boxing match. And DAUHALIAVETS, he's doing his very best out there.
It's always going to be a tough call for DAUHALIAVETS. I mean, he's between a dog and a lamppost, really, on paper from the get-go. But this has just been superb in terms of what he's done.
Once again, 10-9. Pretty fair reflection of what happened out there. La Cruz not quite dominating, but clearly winning.
But again, Colin, I'm surprised that the scorelines aren't different here because of the domination of La Cruz. Don't get me wrong, I mean, you know, La Cruz is going to sail through this, but I was expecting 10-7s, 10-8s. We're seeing 10-9. I mean, that is so respectable for a fighter of a record of 2 losses in the WSB against the current world champion, and a man with, you know, just that 1 loss on his record.
Bell goes, and DAUHALIAVETS is unleashed again. Throwing 2 or 3 punches within a split second of the bell going. He's going for this. He knows he's well down in the scorecard. He needs a knockout now. He's got big power in those fists. Could he pull out a miracle punch here to take the WSB trophy for his adopted country, Azerbaijan?
Well, I called him the wild card. I now call him the Duracell kid. He could well end up being the Cinderella kid if he can stop La Cruz. The chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. But hey, you know, and rumour has it in the Fires camp that they're going to release DAUHALIAVETS back into the wild after this.
You just have to be so impressed with Dauhalievet's drive and determination here. But he is boxing a man in just supreme form, and he knows it.
It's an absolute masterclass from the CRUZ.
How frustrating. Again and again throwing these punches and just getting fresh air. Not even a defensive guard, just fresh air.
Dauhalievet's just so driven, and it really, just from the point of view that Dauhalievet's heart has been so big here, it's I think that's a lesson for young fighters, young boxers watching everywhere.
I'm just doing a little count in my head here. The last 12 or 13 punches Dauhalievet's has thrown have been complete fresh air punches. Hasn't even made contact.
Tag there, cheeky little left from CRUZ. And Dauhalievet's right, starting to feel he's on a hiding to nothing here. Another miss. And it really is like trying to track down a will-o'-the-wisp.
Well, this has been the biggest difference in terms of skill over the 10 bouts. CRUZ, just so magnificent, but he really does bring everything. Not only is he exceptionally evasive and so tricky, he's got stacks of power and fitness. He's just got it all. Showmanship too, which just adds to the whole occasion. This would have to be the last bout, of course, of the 10. It looks like the Cuban's going to bring this back to 5 apiece. Unless a miracle punch happens, it's going to be 5-all. We will have a tiebreaker. Here comes the bell, that's it, it's all over. The Cuban has brought it back to 5 apiece. The WSB Finals Season 4 will go to a tiebreaker, just as it did 12 months ago. What a display of boxing from Julio Cesar de la Cruz, the 2 times world champion. Just magnificent.
Well, I've said it in earlier bouts that in a clash like this, you don't really have a loser, and I think Dauhalievet's has just put in a performance that you look at his WSB record on paper, and I would like to add a footnote that, you know, he put in the performance of a lifetime here against Julio Cesar de la Cruz. It was a masterclass from CRUZ. We expected nothing less. What we expected less of was from Mikhail Dauhalievet's, and even the referee is just sort of warm in greeting him to the centre of the ring.
50. Judge free, 45, 50. 7 is Julio Cesar de la Cruz, Cuba Domadores.
Julio Cesar de la Cruz. Well, he certainly doesn't deserve boos, that's for sure. He was magnificent, but you can understand why in a way. He made a fool of him at times, the way he was just swinging and missing continuously, Dauhalievet's. And what it does do is it brings us to 5 apiece after 10 bouts of the WSB Finals. He's just, well, I guess love him or hate him, de la Cruz. I suppose he's going to be bought too many drinks tonight in Baku, that's for sure, as he has ruined their big chance there of pulling off a coup and getting this trophy. It now comes down to the tiebreaker bout, a welterweight bout between Ramaskovich of Azerbaijan and the magnificent Aristnoidis Despania. Not to say Ramaskovich isn't magnificent, but Despania is a beautiful fighter, and well, the Cubans really do have someone very special in this tiebreaker bout. What a man to hold back, Will.
Absolutely. Despania is arguably my favourite boxer in not only the AIBA championships, but in WSB. He really is a stylist, not unlike CRUZ, but he has a very, very, very unnatural fluidity to what he does, and he reminds me, dare I say it, of a classy boxer from the 80s and 90s in the UK, Mr. Chris Eubank. He really is an awkward character.
He is, yeah, that's a good one. I'll give you that. And here is the man himself coming out, Arisnoidis Despania. And thinking back to that AIBA World Championship that he had against Danyar Yalusanov of Kazakhstan when he lost. Well, some people would have scored it in his favor. It was tight, and perhaps the hometown boy got the nod in favor just because of the roar of the Almaty crowd. And Arisnoidis Despania was not happy at the end of it. He felt he should have won that World Championship. Now he has a chance to do something truly great for his nation in their debut season. Come out and win the WSB finals. Exceptional condition, very long-armed fighter, has great range, and just like De La Cruz, he can throw punches from anywhere. Well, the MC screaming his heart out for Yevgeny Ramaskovich. The crowd as vocal as they have been, hoping, praying that this man can pull out something special in this tie-breaker bout.
Ramaskovich, a very, very clever fighter. I like what he brings to WSB. He really is a skilled boxer.
2-2 in the WSB, 2 wins, 2 losses so far this season. This is the story for Despania. 3 wins, 0 losses, ranked number 2 in the WSB, and they're pulling him out in the tiebreaker. Well, that shows some real cool from the coaches of the Cubans. Well, the reason they didn't use him in fight 2 earlier on in the welterweights, but that's because they've got Sotolongo, who's just an incredible boxer, the world champion from 2009, an Olympic champion. So he's actually not the best Cuban, even though he's the number 2 in the WSB. So once again, a big showman, the Cuban. And probably ready to be a pantomime baddie here as well. He's full of confidence. This is a big ask for the Baku Fires. Yevgeny Ramaskovich in the black and fire shorts. We come out for 5 3-minute rounds. And look at this, Arisnoidis Despania touches gloves with a punch.
Unbelievable. As Lloyd Hannigan said, I didn't come here to take home overtime. And unbelievably, straight away, Despania sets out his stall. Let's not underestimate Yevgeny Ramaskovich. He's a very, very useful boxer. But Despania, well, I would say, is a different class. And just look at that awkward style. He moves to his left. Just look, and he's like Chris Eubank. He adopts a sort of a martial arts stance. It's very unorthodox indeed. And then he slows things down and winds back. It's almost robotic. I mean, it's mesmerizing to watch, but just look at the speed. Left, right, all over. Ramaskovich is very orthodox, and he's very good at what he does. Good footwork, good hands, but against Despania.
He's beaten some good men as well by TKO this season, Arisnoidis Despania. 2 of his 3 fights have been won by TKO. Oh goodness, look at that! From a bizarre angle, falling backwards, he gets through. This has incredible balance, Despania.
Quite clearly, Despania's come to do business right from the get-go. Look at the focus on him, and Ramaskovich hasn't laid a meaningful glove on Despania yet, and starting to get frustrated, Ramaskovich, and that's just what Arisnoidis Despania wants. But he moves to the left so awkwardly that Ramaskovich just can't get that right hand across in time. Puts the left out to try and tee him up, but by the time the right comes through, Despania's gone. And just look at that cheeky peer, the scowl, just that whole presence and the slow motion but then he just unleashes, and it's, well,
when he wants it, can be absolutely furious. That slow, backward stalking movement he does. A complete contrast to when he explodes into a flurry. Espana, oh, gets through, flicks up that jab onto the chin of Ramašković.
Espana now out to really set his stamp on this and to outbox Ramašković, but Ramašković engages, but he's got the power. Espana looks to the corner there because he was hurt by Ramašković, but Espana has the power. Just look at that, slips under that guard, comes back up. Ramašković getting into this. Ramašković starting to pressurise Espana. Clear round for the Cuban, but Ramašković just might get traction. Slow-mo. And the exchanges a little bit scrappy, not the clean contact, but the movement of Espana is so awkward. But Ramašković, just towards the end of the round, started to get Espana in the crosshairs. Let's see if he makes purchase of that going into the second.
His defence is just phenomenal, Espana. 10-9 across the board, and I think that's a pretty fair reflection. Ramašković turned it on in the dying seconds there, but didn't really get through with too many clean punches. The way he defends, I think Chris Eubanker's a very good comparison. He keeps his eye on his opponent all the time. His left hand dropped down by his side, and his angles of movement are quite unusual.
Straight away, a left-right combination. Ramašković tries to get involved, tries to close his man down and go to a bit of a slugfest. Ramašković, having none of the showboating, wants to get in and mix it up early. Good work from Ramašković, not giving Espana the room to operate.
I think that's the thing to do, isn't it? Get up inside, bully him against the ropes a little bit. That's what Ramašković is trying to do here. If he's going to lose lose the WSB final bout, then he's going to have to try and give everything so that he doesn't walk away from this feeling that he's just given Espana an easy win, because everybody expects this Cuban to take it.
Ramašković on his toes now, and I said to you that he's got good movement, Ramašković, good boxing skills, confident on his toes.
He's changing up now, moving backwards, looking to fight on the counter.
And scoring. Right hand goes across.
Ramašković almost doing a little bit of copycat there to Espana. Pushes him up against the corner. I think this is what he's got to do, try and physically impose himself on him, but I'm not sure he is the stronger of the two. And Espana, big uppercut there as they left the clinch. Nothing seems to bother Ramašković.
Ramašković charges forward, 3-4 punch combination. Espana complaining that he's being held, but all's fair in love and war, and the referee happy with that.
Almost looked like a knee there from Ramašković as well. That's the referee just saying be careful in the clinch.
Ramašković very much in this, and look at the confidence. Starting to do his own showboating.
He's doing the Espana on Espana. I'm stunned really. Ramašković is, just a little stumble there, that's all it was. 30 seconds to go in round two. And Ramašković, he could do enough here to pull this round and take round two if he keeps this pace up. But Espana is getting the cleaner shots in.
Absolutely, a big right hand there found its target with some heat on it. Ramašković, again, a huge amount of heart here, but Espana looks like he may be going for a stoppage. not out to outbox his opponent like the CRUZ. These are big shots. Look at Romashkovic, he's mixing it up.
Yeah, he's really going roughhouse, pushing him against the ropes, getting as many punches in the clinch as possible. Trying to keep this as close in as possible. And this is his best opportunity, really.
Created quite a bit of space actually, Romashkovic, and started to do his own showboating, but when he started to trade like that, just coming forward, I think that really took Despaigne by surprise, and all the clinching, all the shutting down has kind of really cramped the style, literally, of Despaigne.
10-9, split decision, and 10-10-9, yes, 2-1 in favour of the Baku Fire, so that has made things a little more interesting after round number 2. This is very close on the scorecards. I think a split decision was fair there.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, everyone thought that this was a cake to be walked. Just look at Romashkovic, he's game on for this, and it was a cake to be walked by the Cuban, but nobody told Romashkovic.
He's complaining there, being clubbed to the back of the head, and the referee steps in and says something. The crowd trying to do their bit in this as well. He's such a big character, not just in terms of boxing ability, Despaigne, but just a huge character in life. But Romashkovic is meeting him head on. Look at this, playing around against the Joker himself. This is phenomenal stuff. Big personality from Romashkovic here.
Well, I've seen his work before, Romashkovic, throughout the season, and he has got skills. He's got great boxing skills. They're different skills from Despaigne, but they're skills. And look, Despaigne is starting to get just a little frazzled and needs to have a care because the referee won't tolerate too much. And Despaigne getting just a little bit needled by Romashkovic because it's not on the script, and Despaigne was hurt there.
He's got to get on top of this because Romashkovic now holding his head in the clinch and punching him. Starting to get a little bit ugly at the moment when they're in the clinch, and a minute and a half gone in round 3. We're halfway through this bout, this tiebreaker bout. Everything rests on this. Emotions are high here.
In the game of styles and dancing and showboating, Romashkovic is right up there. And then, when he gets in close, he shuts down Despaigne and puts the pressure on. You know what? We could see a real big upset here, and I think Romashkovic could take this.
Well, he's pulling him into a brawl. We haven't seen Despaigne doing his slow backwards movement in a while now. Look at him. He's like a bull charging in now, Despaigne. He's got him into a toe-to-toe war, and I'm not sure that really suits Despaigne, who's got that great long range. He should be backing off. I'm sure the Cuban coaches will be telling him, just cool it a little bit. It only takes one punch and it could be over.
Romashkovic being warned about the shoulder. He's got the height and he just gets it in under the chin of Despaigne when they're in the clinch. But just look, no guard on his toes, just jogging back. And he's niggled Despaigne. When they get to exchange, he's trading well with Despaigne.
Unbelievably well. Well, 15 seconds to go of round 3. This is too difficult to call. I think it could be another split decision here. Romashkovic has bullied him around the ring. You could even see a clean sweep of the judges going to him, but he has played a little bit rough.
Interesting to see how the judges found this. I think it's very difficult to score. I think Despaigne may have done it, but this was a brilliant performance from Romashkovic. And it all got a little bit scrappy. Both men desperate to work, but they got shots off. And just look at the sheer effort involved.
Just stuck to him like glue. Even when he missed with big fresh air punches, he then just kept at Despaigne all the time, not allowing him to work at range at all. So there you go, split decision. 2 judges going to Despania, 1 to Ramaskovic, Judge C. 28-29 across the board to the Cuban. 1 point in it at the moment. 2 rounds to go. Cuba fractionally up. This has swung backwards and forwards throughout the entire 2 days. And Ramaskovic doing his very best to keep this alive.
What a nail-biting final tiebreaker to the final. Round 4, and neither of these men giving up an inch. I have to say, his style has been cramped incredibly by Ramaskovic, and this young Azeri fighter putting on a display and the fight of his life.
This Despania charging forward here, punching and missing. Ramaskovic can change it up when he wants to.
Just look at the pressure that Ramaskovic must be under. Whoever wins this bout wins the championship for their team. And I mean, to just have that confidence to be able to stand up like Ramaskovic is doing on paper. This Despania absolutely by a country mile.
Again, a punch after they were told to stop boxing and separate. He's got some real needle in it right from the get-go, Despania, and the touch of gloves. It wasn't a touch, he came out punching at the start of round 1.
Composed Despania, starting to get some of his old fluidity back, but Ramaskovic headhunting here, throwing big shots.
Shouting stop, and Despania not listening, throwing another flurry of punches. You can see a warning point being awarded here. The referee would be very justified here. Ramaskovic gets him into a corner. Nothing clean hitting so far, though.
Well, Despania having to slip under Ramaskovic because Ramaskovic is holding him against the ropes. And although he's hitting, he's turning and hitting his man because he's got no choice. So it's a tough gig for Despania because Ramaskovic is really gaming the rule system here.
Boxing square on, going backwards, charging forward. Ramaskovic has really shown all different skills here. You would never think there was such a difference in terms of record or form over the past, and Ramaskovic just slips over. 40 seconds to go in round 4. Hard to see which way this round is going at the moment. Despania maybe has just done a little bit more work. I have to say he's been just a bit dirty in the clinch.
Well, Despania is starting to get on top of this now, and Ramaskovic starting to tire. There's an awful lot of pressure. Gets tagged coming forward there, and it was going to be tiring keeping up that pressure on Despania, but Despania now starting to come into his own here.
Seconds to go in round 4. A little flurry here, gets tagged Ramaskovic, and another one from Despania. And again, good finish by the Cuban.
Unbelievable, and a little weak there from Ramaskovic. You know, unbelievable. The president of AIBA there smiling because what a fantastic turnaround. What a fantastic final. It's so close, nail-bitingly close.
Well, I don't know, it's a tough one to see. I think it's best just to keep quiet and wait for the judges now. Despania, he's had a war out there. I bet he thought coming out on the ring walk that he was going to have an easy go of it. Not at all. He does win that one 10-9 across the board. And I felt he would do. He had the cleaner shots and had a great finish to the round as well. 39-37. I thought at times, though, he's done a lot of shots to the back of the head. He could have had a warning point deducted there.
Absolutely. It got just a little bit raggedy from both fighters, but it righted itself.
Round number 5.
The referee just gives him a little talking to there before the start of round 5. Everyone hoping this finishes it in a sportsmanlike manner. So 3 minutes to go to decide the WSB finals. Little slip by Ramaskovic doesn't help his cause at all.
headhunting right from the get-go, Despania. He's landing clean shots. Whether or not he's going to cause a problem for Ramaskovic at this stage, I don't know. But Despania looking to put some heat on the punches, and in the 5th round the Cubans love to show off. They love to show the skills. They like to show what they're capable of doing and outbox their opponent, but he's being drawn, and Ramaskovic holding on to the hand of Despania, pulling him in. So game system being played by both players here.
Ramaskovic has got him in the corner again. 2 points down on the judges' scorecards. He needs to win this by 10-8, which would really mean he has to rock Despania with a big punch. Get him a standing 8 perhaps, and at the moment it doesn't look likely.
Confidence has come back to Despania. Certainly there was a lot happening there that wasn't in the script as far as Despania was concerned. Like that, big left hand from Ramaskovic. But Despania taking control again and starting to land clean shots and scoring well.
Despania waving to the wives and girlfriends at the side there. That confidence back again. The cocky swagger that he came into the ring with is there again. He's feeling good. He knows he's on top. Just 1 minute and 10 seconds to go now. Can Ramaskovic turn this round? Can he become an Azeri legend? He needs something really special. Just looks tired, and no surprise, he's had an incredible work rate over the 5 rounds.
Got hit very hard there from the right hand of Despania, but Despania doesn't look as if he wants to engage. He wants to dance, work the counter, and look good. And that's kind of part of Despania's makeup, as indeed the CRUZ. And look at him dance round the outside of the ring, and that's just what he's doing now. He's going to try and make the judges think that Ramaskovic isn't up to the same class and standard, and finish strongly here.
Despania looking the stronger of the two as we finish. He's got the 2-point lead on all of the judges' scorecards. Ramaskovic finally starting to look tired. Despania, less than 10 seconds to go. The most successful nation at the Olympics in boxing and the World Championships. Their first season in the WSB. Surely they are the WSB Season 4 champions. It came down to a tie-break, and this man, Arisnoidis Despania, stepped up and has finished off the hopes of the Azeri nation. We have to wait for the judges' scorecards, though.
What a step up to the plate from this young man, Yehuni Ramaskovic. I've watched his fights in the WSB, as I said, throughout the season, and he really is a class act. We saw that in rounds 2, 3, 4. He started to lose energy because Despania just kind of pushed too much. And of course, the 4th and 5th, I think, have gone, deservedly to Despania. But the official verdict, we still need.
Joshua, 46.
No hugs there or handshakes between the two boxers.
Jeffrey, 46, 49. The winner is...
It is
Azerbaijan,
46-49. He's won the final round as well. And, well, the WSB finals is one to a chorus of boos here as the locals felt Ramaskovic did enough to take the win, but, well, Arisnoidis Despania was just magnificent on the night. He finished the way he started. The middle round, Ramaskovic really did put in a performance, but it just wasn't enough. That was the right decision, and Cuba are Season 4 champions. Here is the trophy. In their debut season, the most extraordinarily brilliant boxing nation has done it. All 3 of the judges seeing it exactly the same. Well, Will, what a way to finish. Just the same as last season. Season 3 won by the Kazakhstan All-Lands. It went to a tiebreaker and they pulled it off against Ukraine. And now Cuba, they were 5-4 down. CRUZ and then de España. Two of the most confident and impressive boxers the Cubans have. And 3-0. A complete points whitewash for both of them. It was a resounding win in the end, but it was nailed.